Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will explore the depths of The Teeth of the Tiger by Maurice Leblanc. The Teeth of the Tiger, written by Maurice Leblanc and first published in 1914, is one of the many adventures of Arsène Lupin, the gentleman thief-turned-detective. In this novel, Lupin, under the alias Don Luis Perenna, finds himself entangled in a murder mystery involving a colossal inheritance, secret heirs, and a mysterious criminal plot. The novel blends action, intrigue, and intellectual puzzles, showcasing Lupin's exceptional wit and detective skills. Plot summary. The day was ordinary in the office of the prefect of police. The secretary had just organized a few reports when Inspector Veyrot staggered in, pale and shaking. It was unlike the burly, energetic officer, whose face usually radiated confidence. He spoke in cryptic terms about a crime that had already happened and two murders that would inevitably occur that very night. His voice trembled as he handed over a letter and a small box, urging the secretary to deliver them directly to the prefect. But before he could say more, Veyrot collapsed, visibly weakened, and disappeared shortly afterward, leaving everyone in a state of unease. When the prefect returned to his office, he found Veyrot's letter, a blank sheet of paper. Troubled by this oddity, he opened the small box left behind by the inspector, revealing something even stranger, a piece of chocolate with bite marks. It was a curious clue, but it wasn't until they searched the office that the full tragedy came to light. Veyrot was found in the prefect's dressing room, barely alive, mumbling incoherently about the teeth. His ominous last words hinted at the looming danger, but before they could make sense of his warnings, he died. With Veyrot's cryptic clues swirling in their minds, the prefect's attention turned to a pressing matter: the inheritance of Cosmo Mornington, a recently deceased American millionaire who had left a fortune of 100 million francs. The will was clear. The fortune was to go to the heirs of his mother's family, the Roussells, but if no heirs were found within 3 months, the entire sum would pass to a certain Don Luis Perenna, the executor of the will and Mornington's close friend. This condition set the stage for a complex and dangerous game, one that attracted the attention of both the police and sinister forces working in the shadows. Don Luis Perenna, a man of mystery and charm, soon became the focal point of the investigation. Known for his heroism in the Foreign Legion, he had saved Mornington's life on more than one occasion. But beneath his composed exterior, he concealed a deeper identity, that of the legendary Arsène Lupin, the master of disguise and brilliant criminal mind turned detective. Perenna was drawn into the case not for the inheritance, but because his friend's life had been cut short in a suspicious manner. He suspected that Mornington had been murdered, not by accident as was officially declared, but by foul play. With time running out, Perenna found himself investigating two mysteries simultaneously: the location of the Roussel heirs and the threat of imminent murders. He worked closely with the prefect, who gave him reluctant approval to pursue the case. As the investigation progressed, the police uncovered a shocking letter from Hippolyte Fauville, a civil engineer, who warned that both he and his young son were in mortal danger. Fauville claimed he had discovered proof of a deadly conspiracy and promised to bring it to the prefect by morning. The letter intensified the search, but before they could act, Fauville himself arrived, visibly shaken and desperate, confirming the threat against him. Fauville's words were scattered and disjointed, but his terror was real. He spoke of an abominable plot and insisted he had found the necessary evidence to stop it, yet his behavior only added to the mystery. He seemed unsure whether the danger would strike that night or the following day. Despite his condition, he refused police protection, leaving Perenna and the authorities scrambling to prevent the impending catastrophe. Perenna's investigation took him to the Café du Pont Neuf, where Inspector Veyrot had been just before his death. There, a critical detail emerged. Veyrot had been writing a letter when another man at a nearby table had switched envelopes, leaving Veyrot with a blank letter and taking his incriminating report. The man, described as tall, with a red beard and an eyeglass, had vanished. It was clear now, Veyrot had been silenced before he could reveal the truth. Back at the prefect's office, Perenna received another blow. The mysterious teeth that Veyrot had mentioned were none other than the marks of a unique set of teeth found on the chocolate. The connection between the chocolate, the missing report, and the upcoming murders became clearer. Yet, without knowing the identity of the real culprits, Perenna could only act on instinct. He insisted on staying near Fauvel's house that night, convinced that the engineer and his son would be the next victims. As night fell, a sense of dread settled over the city. Perenna kept watch, his keen mind calculating the next moves of the unseen enemy, but tragedy struck before he could intervene. The next morning, Hippolyte Fauvel was found dead, and his young son lay lifeless beside him. Both had been poisoned, the very fate Vérat had tried to prevent. The mastermind behind the plot had struck again, leaving no trace behind. Perenna's mind raced through the tangled web of clues. He had lost 2 lives, but the game was far from over. Someone likely connected to the Mornington inheritance was eliminating the Roussel heirs one by one, and if no one could be found, the fortune would fall to Perenna. The stakes were higher than ever, not just for the money, but for the justice Perenna sought in avenging his friend's death. With the police now fully on his side, Perenna resolved to hunt down the killers. He was no longer merely a detective solving a crime. He was a man on a mission, determined to unravel the twisted conspiracy that bound the fates of so many. The game had begun, and Don Luis Perenna, the man who once bore the name of Arsene Lupin, was ready to play it to the end. That's all for now. The journey through Arsene Lupin series doesn't end here. Check out the rest of the series by Maurice Leblanc. You know where to find them. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Maurice Leblanc's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.